Okay, let's look at the last 5 questions here. So we have here, we're looking at relevant costing. Again, like I think this is always good because you can always go back and review these, and read the story again. You might not have remember it from the last time you read it. Basically, you have this relevant cost and you're trying to hire this machine. And this is a good one, actually. It's quite fair. Relevant costs are, if you like, additional costs. They're not sunk, they're purely cash. And what costs we're going to have to deal with in order to make this thing happen. Specialized machine, 10 weeks. You can hire this thing. It's going to be 2,500 a week. So 2,500 a week. We need it for 10 weeks. So we don't have the machine. It's not with us. So we're going to need it for 10 weeks. But it says we're going to also have running costs of 720. So totally, you'll have that. This is incurred by the user. You to depreciate. Depreciation is a non-cash expense, so it's not relevant. It has already incurred 25 grand in analyzing so far, so this is a sunk cost. So I have this thing here times 10 weeks, so that's 3,000. That's 3,220 times 10 weeks, and that takes us into 32,200. So my answer here is C. Then they give you some more information to work with. They tell you that, listen, you need skilled labor of 9 grand, 9,000 hours. You could go out there and recruit and get 12 and pay 108,000. You could do that. Alternatively, you could get people working already in the organization and transfer them to the project. The question here is, how do you manage that gap that needs to be plugged? The hourly rate is £10. You'd have paid this anyway, so it's not an additional cost. The question is really the issue of replacing them. So if you can bring some people in from somewhere else, we don't know where, replacement for their existing project. So maybe this is an easier project to manage than this new other project. So this is maybe doesn't need as much attention. So you have 11, basically it's £11 an hour, and you're going to need them for 9,000 hours, right? Because you're taking them off, the existing people off, to put the new people on. So it's still 9,000 hours that needs to be covered, and therefore the relevant cost becomes 99. So it's always a lower, right? That's the issue here. We're trying to find the lowest cost possible. That's what the business should be thinking about, 99,000. So the answer there is B. 28 here. This was an interesting one. It did throw me a little. I don't think it was best worded, but I see where they're going. The project needs to be supervised. You need a total of 500 hours of supervision. One of the existing but he would have to work a total of 300 hours of overtime during the year to carry out the supervision, as well as his existing duties. So it seems they've gone for this being paid within a salary context. I mean, really, they haven't given us, if you like, the actual overtime rate. If you like, where I think is the issue here. If he goes ahead with this project, they'll have to pay a bonus of £500 if the project is undertaken. So in effect here, they argue that this is within his salary structure. I don't think it's they could do better, actually, but this is a progress test. So really, it's the additional hours I'm interested in, but they're not very clear as to what that time is. This seems to be mapped in within his salary. So, and he isn't paid for overtime work. So the argument here is, because he's not paid for, we have to take this as gospel, that because he's not paid for overtime work, he would do the overtime but still get paid only the 50,000. So therefore, it means the only thing he's going to get is 500, which isn't typically. I mean, I can see where they're going. So the answer there is B. It's only because they tell us he is not paid for overtime that we kind of do that. Let's look at what's going on here. This is again to do with material. The focus is on material B, so I'll ignore this. So it says here, the total amount, we need 10,000. So we bought 25,000 some time ago, 2 years ago, and we've used 20,000 of it for a project, and we have 5,000 sitting in inventory. So, and we don't need it anymore. So the relevant cost becomes what we can sell it for, which is 5,000 times 2. But I therefore still need to buy an additional 5,000, right? Now I have to pay 5 for that. So the full relevant cost becomes the 5,000 times 2 plus the 5,000 times 5, which takes me to 35,000. That's 10,000 and that's 25,000, taking me to 35,000, right? And then finally, which of the two are correct? First of all, annual depreciation charge is not a relevant cost. That is very correct. And almost, I mean, oops, by process of elimination, I'll go through them. You can see that 2 is the only thing. 2, there's already 2 which is correct. So it means that definitely 3 is correct. Materials can have an opportunity cost. So when we can sell something, it means that it does have an opportunity cost if we can sell it for the realizable fair value. Then that gives it an opportunity cost. Materials already held in inventory can contribute to relevant costing because, like I said, if you can sell the thing, you consider that as relevant costing. And fixed costs would have a relevant cost if a decision changes in their total expenditure. Yes, of course. So you can always add on any additional fixed costs. So the answers are 2 and 3. That is C. That brings us to the end of the last 5 questions there. And I will see you in the next video.